Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to be walking through the 7 Principles of Making a Marriage Work by Dr. John Gottman. Gottman's work is very well respected, and he has over 40 years of studying couples in what he likes to call the Love Lab. These 40 years has shown Gottman what makes marriages fall apart, but it also shown him what makes marriages last a lifetime. In today's lesson, I'm going to explain how Gottman predicts divorce. We're going to walk through the 7 principles of making a marriage work, and I'll also share with you guys some key tips that he gives in the afterwords of the book. These ideas will really help you guys flourish with your partner and build a healthy and stable relationship for the future. Before learning about what makes relationships work, it's first important to understand what breaks relationships down. Gottman discovered many communication patterns that are reliable predictors of divorce, and I'd like to show them to you guys. The first communication pattern that I'd like to introduce is called flooding. Flooding is when someone's heart reaches above 100 beats per minute and they become very overwhelmed. This overwhelming feeling makes it very hard to solve any problems after. The next communication pattern that I would like to introduce to you guys that predicts divorce is called harsh startup. This refers to when someone is very harsh when first starting a conversation and almost spoils the conversation's outcome. Gottman says that the first 3 minutes are a huge predictor and very much dictate the conversation's outcome. Now I would like to introduce to you guys 4 communication patterns that Gottman believes are the main predictors of divorce. Gottman likes to call these communication patterns the 4 horsemen. The first horseman is criticism. Criticism is attacking somebody's character instead of addressing the behavior. An example of criticism could be, "You never help out around the house. You're so selfish." Criticism makes your partner feel attacked and often leads to our next horseman. The next horseman is defensiveness. Defensiveness is when you respond to your partner with an excuse and or a counterattack. An example of defensiveness could be, "I would help out around the house more if you weren't so naggy." Defensiveness blocks responsibility and also escalates conflict. The next horseman is stonewalling. Stonewalling happens when a partner emotionally shuts down and withdraws. This usually happens because that partner feels overwhelmed, but it often sends the message of, "I don't care enough to engage." The last horseman that I'll be introducing to you guys is contempt. Gottman believed that contempt was the biggest indicator of divorce, and he also found that contempt alone increased the likelihood of divorce by a lot. Contempt can come in the forms of sarcasm, eye rollings, mockery, or even speaking down on. And contempt often sends the message that I am better than you. The good news is that all of these bad patterns have an antidote: the 7 principles. The 7 principles give you a blueprint to a marriage that can avoid these destructive cycles. The first principle is enhancing your love maps. Your love maps are your detailed understanding and knowledge of your partner's inner world. This could be their thoughts, their dreams, their worries, their stresses, their joys. Couples with strong relationships are constantly updating these mental maps because they know that people change. Gottman explains that when you know what's happening within your partner's life, then it creates an emotional safety within the relationship. When conflicts come up, and couples that have enhanced their love maps are more likely to see their partner with empathy rather than frustration. Some examples of enhancing your love map could be asking your partner what's been stressing you out lately, or asking what's something to look forward to, or asking who has been important to you this week. Another thing would be schedule daily 10-minute check-ins where the focus is only what's going on in your world today, what's going on with your partner today. All of these are great examples of enhancing your love map. Principle number 2 is nurture your fondness and admiration. Fondness and admiration are the foundations of a healthy marriage. Successful couples maintain a sense of respect and affection for each other. They intentionally notice what their partner is doing right rather than focusing on what they're doing wrong. Gottman found that couples who stay together have a habit of looking for things to appreciate rather than, on the other hand, couples heading for divorce often look for mistakes. Some examples of nurturing your fondness and admiration would be saying thank you for everyday actions, or complimenting effort and not outcomes, or sharing one thing you admire about your partner today. Principle number 3 is turning towards each other instead of away. In this principle, Gottman introduced the concept of a bid. A bid is any small gesture for emotional connection. This could be a joke, a sigh, a question, or even a reach out for touch. Turning towards your partner would mean showing an interest when your partner does reach out with a bid. On the other hand, turning away would be ignoring the bid or even reacting negatively to it. Gottman found that couples who stay together often responded to each other's bids 86% of the time, rather than, on the other hand, couples who were leading toward divorce only responded to each other's bids around 33% of the time. An example of principle 3 would be if your partner says, "Look at this funny video." Turning towards your partner would be a response like, "Oh, let me see it," rather than, on the other hand, turning away from your partner would be either completely ignoring that your partner said, "Look at this video," or, on the other hand, saying something like, "I'm busy, stop bothering me." One key point that Gottman brought up in this principle was that marriage is built on tiny moments of connection rather than huge romantic gestures. Principle number 4, let your partner influence you. This principle is all about shared power and mutual respect. This principle means valuing your partner's ideas and feelings and needs. Gottman found that couples who let each other influence their decisions had much healthier marriages and also less conflict. Some examples of letting your partner influence you could be asking your partner's opinion before making a decision, or saying things like, "I could see how that could make sense," when your partner brings up a good point. A side note for this principle is that Gottman said that when men resisted influence, the relationship suffered more. But this isn't a free ride for women to resist influence. Gottman says that influence needs to go both ways. Principle number 5 is solve your solvable problems. Gottman says that solvable problems are daily life disagreements like chores or money or even time management. Gottman provides 5 skills for handling these efficiently. The first skill is to use a soft startup. When you have a complaint, begin the complaint with something gentle and kind. The next skill is to make and receive repair attempts. Repair attempts are small gestures to reduce tension, and good, strong couples know how to make, but most importantly, know how to accept these attempts. The next skill is to de-escalate before flooding. This can mean taking a 20 to 30 minute breather or break when you feel like your heart is racing or you're about to shut down. The next skill is to compromise. To compromise means to find the middle ground where both you and your partner's needs are both honored and considered. The last skill is to accept each other's imperfections. No human in this world is perfect, so learn to appreciate and accept your partner's imperfections. Principle 6 is overcome gridlock. Gottman says that gridlock happens when couples argue over an issue that isn't really about the issue, and it's about a deeper dream or a deeper fear. These problems usually don't have a permanent solution. Example of these problems could be differences in religion, career aspirations, or even difference in parenting techniques. The key of this principle is to not solve the problem, but to solve the feeling of being emotionally stuck. How to overcome gridlock would be things like ask what the issue symbolizes for each person, or validate each other's aspirations, or constantly look for small ways to honor both people. Principle number 7 is to create shared meaning. This final principle is about building a shared life together with your partner. Couples that thrive have things like rituals or long-term goals or agreed upon roles or traditions that they created together. Examples of creating a shared meaning would be things like holiday traditions or shared financial goals or even stuff like weekly date nights. The key point to this principle is that shared meaning helps couples feel like they're on the same team and that they're building a life together rather than just coexisting. To wrap everything up, towards the end of the book, Gottman provided many practical tips to help you maintain a healthy marriage. I have 5 of these tips here to provide for you all. The first one is to do daily stress-reducing conversations. This can mean 10 to 20-minute conversations with your partner of just listening and not trying to fix your partner in any way. The next one that I have for you all is to prioritize small positive moments. Gottman says that the perfect ratio between positive and negative interactions is 5 positive to every 1 negative interaction. The third tip that I have for you all is to maintain your love maps. People are constantly changing, and keeping an updated love map of your partner will help you maintain a healthy marriage. The fourth tip that I have for you all is to repair quickly after conflict. Gottman says that healthy couples apologize and reconnect sooner rather than later. The last tip that Gottman provided to me that I will be providing to you all is to protect your marriage from the 4 horsemen that were introduced earlier in this lesson. Criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling could all be replaced with kindness, responsibility, appreciation, and self-soothing. Gottman's 7 principles give engaged couples a blueprint to a fulfilling, connected, and lasting marriage. Remember that strong marriages don't happen by accident. They're built on daily choices, small moments of connection, and a deep understanding of each other. Thank you all so much for coming out today, and I hope that the tools that you have learned today help you to build a happy and meaningful life together. Bye-bye.